there's a lot of people hiding behind a mask in the church, and
Um,
because of our pride, because of what we think people are going to think about us, we don't want to say it. Do you think I just want somebody to know, okay, I'm on mental health medications, I've been to jail before, I struggle with insecurity, the man I'm living with is not my husband? Those are not the things that we really want to talk about to the people in the church, especially our mental health conditions.
Hi, I'm Helen Blocker Adams, host of Reset to Reinvent podcast.
And I'm Vanessa, CEO of Talent Connect.
We have connected our talent as women entrepreneurs, and I am pleased to announce Talent Connect as a founding sponsor for our popular podcast.
For any of your staffing, payroll, or other business services needs, be sure to check out our website at talentconnectga.net. That's talentconnectga.net.
And don't forget to subscribe to our popular YouTube channel, Reset to Reinvent YouTube channel. Yes, he's coming. He's coming to the home of James Brown. Yes, he is. David Shands, also known as the king of podcasting, is coming to the AUG, and you want to be there. Not only is he coming, he is bringing Donnie Wiggins with him. Check out Social Proof Podcast. Oh, you've seen them. Yes, you have. And they're going to be right here in Augusta, Georgia. When? Thursday, April 23rd. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a free event. You need to go ahead and scan this QR code. Get your seat registered right now. Limited VIP tickets are available, and limited vendor and sponsorships are available as well. Oh my goodness. We're so excited. We are so excited about having David Shands here in Augusta, Georgia, the home of James Brown. So you want to be there? It's a free event. We'll see you there.
Hello, and welcome to this is episode 52 of Reset to Reinvent podcast. And what's so exciting about today is that it's been exactly a year, 52 episodes on the air, 52 episodes straight of Reset to Reinvent podcast. So I'm very, very excited about that. And also very excited and still on a high from the fact that 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the fact that we had exactly 50 episodes and 1,000 downloads. And both of those hit at the same time, which was February the 23rd. So yeah, we're rocking and rolling and really excited about what we're doing. So the month of March is Women's History Month. Okay. Women's History Month. And I have got a woman that is our guest on this episode that I've known for a long time, and we're going to have a conversation in just a few moments. But I do want to let you know the theme of this year's Women's History Month. The 2026 theme is Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future. Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future. And when we start talking with my guests, I think she's going to be able to share with us some of the things that she's doing to build a sustainable future and the lives that she's touched and is touching. But she has quite a story, guys. She really does. And I've known her for a long time, and she had to remind me. So let's I'm not going to take up any more time. I want to introduce to you Melisha Johnson. Welcome to Reset to Reinvent podcast.
Hello, Miss Helen. Good to see you again and talk with you again. Thank you.
It is so good to talk with you. And, we bumped into each other on Facebook, I guess maybe about a month or so ago. And I have to admit, you were familiar, but then you weren't familiar. And of course, I don't want to say, it was a senior moment, but it probably was a senior moment. And then you reminded me where we know each other from. So here's what I want to do. Share with us a little bit about Melisha Johnson.
All right, so I'm Melisha Johnson, currently residing or soon to be residing in Dublin, Georgia, but was in Augusta in the year of 2008. Had my own business called Memory Makers Event Planning, which I did like events for parties, weddings, different events. And how we came in contact, I think at the time you was doing like Network on the Mic. It was a networking.
Oh,
Remember
yes.
that? Yes. Yeah, and I remember we've been knowing each other since then. I think you did a bridal show at the Marriott, so I was able to be a part of that as well because of what I was doing. Um, so yeah, I was there in Augusta, trying to build a business, trying to do some things, and basically trying to live and hide at the same time, if that makes sense.
Okay, live and hide at the same time. And so, are you saying that you were living like a double life, if you
Yeah,
will?
I would say that. I would say that I was living a double life. I will also say that I was hiding behind a mask because I was very heavily populated in the church at the time, which I have been my whole life. I always knew about God and everything, but I dealt with a lot of things. I dealt with some mental health. I dealt with some low insecurity, rejection, abandonment, and I felt like I had to do things to get people in my life. I felt like I had to show them who I really was, which was who I really wasn't. So it was a very exhausting life trying to be more than one person. And then like I said, hiding behind that mask because I really didn't want people to see the issues that I had and the struggles that I had.
What was behind that mask?
Behind that mask was a lot of deception. And the deception, lying from the how old I was at the time, or how successful I could have been at that time, or a little bit of my background, a little bit of my mental health problems, even past arrests that I've had. I did not want nobody to know that part of me because I wanted to look good in people's face. I wanted them to see that I can make it, I can be successful. Call me, she'll help you. Trying to be the savior, really, and was doomed for destruction, really.
And the thing about it is, from what I remember, you were doing those things. I mean,
Mhm,
you were, we partnered up on several different events, and you were a make things happen kind of person.
mhm,
And so I didn't see. I'm usually a pretty observant person, but then I always see the best in people and not the worst. Or let's just say you're with somebody and then they'll say, well, you better watch out for this person, did this. I have to, somebody has to prove me wrong, prove something else different for me to think one way or the other. But there was nothing in my ear to make me even think that, something was amiss with Melisha at all.
and and
So you
and
did a very good job of masking and the whatever what was going on the other side in that double life. So when did it blow up? When did it get to a point where it blew up?
well, I do want to piggyback and say that I am a genuinely good person. I'm a nice person. That I say I grew up, like I said, I grew up in church, so I grew up respecting my elders. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. So that was genuinely
Yes.
me. And genuinely, my heart wants to help people. It wanted
Yes.
to help me. I just didn't have the resources to do what I really wanted to do. But to answer your question on when it blew up was when and this is some years ago, so give me a minute to. I was in my office. And matter of fact, it was you. You gave me a call. You said a detective told you that I had a warrant out for me, and you called me and told me that. Okay. Um, I was doing things. I was doing a lot of underhanded, robbing Peter to pay Paul type of things. doing a lot of, and I had an outstanding warrant. And at that time, I think it was for a probation violation, because what you didn't know, I was on probation during all this time. Okay.
And the
Uh,
probation was for what?
Theft by deception. All my crimes have been financial crimes, of some sort.
Okay.
Of some sort. And
Okay.
matter of fact, you called me, and I can't remember the detective name, but I remember you calling me and say there was a warrant out for me, and the man, and I said, okay, I'm gonna take care of it, when I knew I wasn't going to take care of it. And I think several days later, you called me back, and I really started avoiding you. Okay. Because I already knew what the question was going to be. And I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? Because I got my office set up. I got a house with kids, my son in it. So I was trying to figure out a plan. And then all of a sudden, my pastor called me. Okay. And of course, I'm going to answer the phone for my pastor.
Right.
So out of concern, you called him.
Yes.
Out of
Yes.
concern,
Yes.
you called him.
Because
And that's how
let's
it happened.
do a timeout. So because we were connected with events and the things that we were doing, this detective knew me, and he was my friend.
Mhm.
And apparently your name must have come up, and then they were like, wait a minute, that's the lady who's working with Helen with whatever. Now I
Mhm.
can't remember those specifics,
Right.
but I do remember because I was concerned. And
Mhm.
you're right. You are a nice person, and sometimes we can get caught up. Life can get us caught up, and before we know it, we can spiral out of control, and then there's no more control.
Right.
And that almost sounds like, and I'm going to deviate a little bit. For me in 2014, when I ran for mayor. Okay. Now, my situation, it wasn't anything that, theft or anything like that. But what I did do was allow my and women have a tendency to allow my independence. Oh, I can handle this. I can do this. I can take care of this. And before you know it, you've got bills piled up high. I had situations where the marshal had come, get to evict me,
Mhm.
so that's all public record. Now, I was never ever evicted because I was always able to get the money and everything. But at the same time, it came. So I can see how in your situation, it was a little bit more, it was a little bit uh deeper, but in terms of getting caught up, and before you know it, you're spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with you. Things spiraled out of control. You're trying to do the right thing, and like you said, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and before you know it, you've got a situation that you got your pastor, because you're right. I called you a couple of times, and you're right. You ghosted me. And then when I kept getting the communication from my detective friend, Helen, where is she? Did she go AWOL? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I reached out to your pastor, and you did, Melisha, respond to your pastor. Is that right?
Yes, I did. I never not answer a call from my pastor. And so even though I was at a spiral point then, and I just felt like maybe that was God telling him to call me, because I needed something. I needed something. And he let me know that you called and said that I need to turn myself in, and that he would go down there with me, to do it. But yet I ran. I ran.
Oh,
Yeah.
and how long was that time frame from you running to, you ultimately getting caught?
It was probably a little bit over a month, because I believe it was at the end of March, going into maybe April, because Masters time was coming. I was on the front page of the Augusta Chronicle doing Masters at that. And I left and I fled to New York, which was not trying to come back. I was just going to like fake my death and just start life over as somebody different, because I felt like Melisha couldn't get it right, so let me be somebody else. Let me get
Mm.
to be somebody else. I changed my number. so nobody could call me, so it wouldn't put my family in no jeopardy or whatever the case may be. Um, the marshal did reach out to some of my family. One of my family, I called them, they didn't call me. Okay. And
Okay.
when I called my cousin, and he said they got him. And I'm like, they got who? And they wound up arresting my father, because they knew that's gonna get her. That's gonna get her, because they knew how close me and my dad are.
Right.
Yeah. And I couldn't do nothing. So immediately what I tried to do is just try to send the attorney at the time some money so he could help my dad, get my dad out, and different things that nature. Once the charge was dismissed, because they just arrested him just for me, you know,
Right.
um, for that nature. But now I wanted to take my life. I was not coming back to Georgia. I was not coming back. When the marshal called me, he told me that too many people he talked to said I was a good person.
Right.
He said, I talked to everybody, past business associates, people in the church, and they all said that you was a good person. He said, so I said, well, the only way I'm coming back to Augusta, you're gonna have to come and get me. And he was like, no, nah. He said, you're gonna turn yourself in. He said, because I've heard too many good things. And he said, if the Lord is in you, like I've heard, I know you're gonna do the right thing. So I try to take so I every time I called my pastor, he would always have a, hey daughter, how you doing? When you coming back? We gonna go there together. And I'm like, Pastor, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I called that for whatever reason. I always call my pastor, and he
Right.
gonna always tell me the same thing.
So what was making you say, no, I'm not coming back? Even after the marshal was calling saying, all of these things that were working to your advantage. What was making you say, no, I'm not coming?
Number one, I didn't want to go back to jail or prison. I did that before. And I literally tried to stay out of jail and prison. I tried to do the right thing, and I just felt like I'm doomed for hell anyway. So I didn't want to come back and put shame on my church family, put shame on my family, because I'm already on the news and newspaper. So let me just stay out. I felt like if I just took my life, um, then they'll cry at the funeral, and then after that, everything will be okay. Yeah. So that's how I truly felt, because I got tired of doing the same thing over again. Like I literally struggled hard, and people didn't see that it was a real struggle. I didn't do the things that I really wanted to do. I felt like I couldn't control it. If I would pay other people's light bills and my lights need to be paid, or trying to do things, I was literally trying to help people genuinely, but hurting myself at the same time. So I wasn't going to do it. So I eventually, after, constantly talking to my pastor, I eventually turned myself in. The marshal wasn't ready, wasn't at the airport, because I thought they was. He gave me time to spend time with my son, before I turned myself in. He was going to allow me to do that. Which he
God's
did.
grace.
Nope, nothing but God's grace.
Mm.
And but that morning, as I'm driving to Augusta with my aunt, I had already my grandmother was living at the time, and she had dementia, and I took the pills in front of my grandmama and just told her I was sorry. I was sorry that I wasn't the granddaughter that she raised me to be. And I just let her know that I love her, and I'm just sorry that I turned out the wrong way. So as my aunt is driving me to Augusta, I throw up, and I was mad at God, because like I'm trying to take my life. And I landed up at Aurora at the time. I don't know if it's still in South Carolina, but I was at Aurora mental hospital with my pastor standing over my face when I woke up. And he said, daughter, this is not the way. Tell the truth and leave the rest to God. So that's kind of what happened. I was at the Aurora Medical Center for about 2 or 3 weeks before I went to the Richmond County Jail.
How old were you? About what age range were you?
Probably in my mid-30s.
Okay.
Mid-30s. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you had to, face the music, so to speak, and the support. I would imagine you still had great support from your family, obviously from your pastor, and you had to go through. I guess you went through. Did you have to go through a trial and all of that? And how to tell me about that
We
process?
the beginning of the process was we was going to get me into some type of inpatient mental health rehab. They have a
Okay.
lot of substance abuse, but we was trying to find one for mental health. And we was going to go to a ministry in Texas. So anyway, that was the plan. I get out. My attorney at the time told me that I was going to get 18 to 24 months. And by that time, I went ahead and signed the plea deal. And because I was assuming that I was going to get 18, 24 months. But when I get to court, I get 144 months. I get 12 years. And
144 months.
yes, ma'am.
Oh.
I didn't even realize that's how much time I got till I got back to the jail. And my sisters told me how much time I got. But yeah, and I thought I was going to get 18 to 24 months. And
Mm,
that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And I was
mm,
very upset with my attorney. He didn't come. I didn't see him. I haven't seen him since that day. August 31st, 2011 was the day I got sentenced. And I have not seen him since sentencing. He didn't come and talk to me afterwards. He didn't say nothing to me. I wrote the state bar up on him, and I did. That's how I got a response. But that's it. That's it.
oh.
Yes.
So how much time did you serve?
10 years. I served 10
10
years.
years.
And I'm not going to say it was all bad, but it wasn't all good either. But I served 10 years. I started in Tallahassee, Florida. I did federal time, so it wasn't the state of Georgia. So I
Mm,
did fed time. Started in Tallahassee, Florida. Then I got moved to Ellisville, Alabama, with a tornado tore the roof off the building while we was there. And yes, and I ended up at Coleman, Florida. That's where I ended up at, and I got out through the First Step Act under President Trump's first term. He signed the First Step Act, and it was during COVID and all of that. And because I had already served about 80% of my time anyway,
okay.
good conduct that I did while I was there in the different classes and program, I was there. That's how I wound up getting out early.
I am just so proud of you.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you because what our listeners are going to hear is, there's another side of Melisha Johnson,
Mm.
and I know that you've always been, and that's another thing. Let's talk about the fact that um, there's there's a perception that if you go to church and you're a good person, and that you go to church and you got a relationship with your pastor, a relationship with your family, close with your family, that you can't spiral off and get in trouble and get incarcerated. Some people just think that everybody that's behind bars are just bad, evil people, but that's not the case.
No, ma'am.
And have you experienced that in terms of the mindset of people?
Yes, ma'am. First, and that's why I speak to the church a lot, because there's a lot of people hiding behind a mask in the church, and
Um,
because of our pride, because of what we think people are going to think about us, we don't want to say it. Do you think I just want somebody to know? Okay, I'm on mental health medications. I've been to jail before. I struggle with insecurity. The man I'm living with is not my husband. Those are not the things that we really want to talk about to the people in the church, especially our mental health conditions. But then going to the prison, I tell you, there was a lot of people that I would not have hung around that's in the prison,
okay.
because of what they did, like whether they using drugs or whether they drug dealers or prostitutes or whatever they was doing. There
Right.
was people who I would never associate myself with, but going to prison, it showed me that they're people too. And you don't know what somebody's story is and how they get to the situation they got to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have some wonderful friends, and I would never deny them, never disown them because of their past or because of their convicted felon, because we was there for each other during those times. We celebrated birthdays, our Christmases, our children's birthdays. We even, people even lost their children or their parents, and we was all there together. So they are my sisters, and I claim them for life.
How did you, okay, you served 10 years.
Hmm.
How did you mentally um, deal with the idea that you were so far away from home? Obviously a family couldn't come like every weekend, like if you were here in Augusta. Um, how did you get through? Because 10 years is a long time.
Yes, ma'am. It's a very long time. First of all, other than the grace of God, that's I'm saying God
Mm.
kept my mind sane. We lost people during COVID time. Like I said, the separation of being away from my son. He even got married. While I was in prison. High school, a lot of stuff that happened.
Yeah.
So it was us. It was us. We helped each other.
So it's
We
like a sisterhood, if you
Yes.
will.
Yes, we was there for each other. We cried together, we laughed together, and we did the time, but we didn't let the time do us. Now,
Ah,
and that's a difference. It's a difference because you could have some hard time in prison. But I will say too, my family, my immediate family was there for me. They didn't leave me. Did they like what I did? Absolutely not. But my dad, my sisters, and I got two aunts that stood with me through that time. When girls got out, I would tell my dad to pick her up from the Augusta bus station, take her here, take her there. Because I'm still trying to help people. But
right.
but God had to show me that you can still be a blessing and you can still help people, and you don't have to do anything wrong to help them. And I built relationships, but that's how I got through my time. Other than the grace of God, it was the sisters that was in there, and thank God for my family support that never left me.
So your so you got out. Um, what was the how long has it been since you got since you
I,
so
5 years,
you've been out 5 years now?
ma'am. Hmm.
So did you have in your mind before you um, uh, left those chains and barbed wire fence and all of that, did you have a game plan in terms of what you wanted to do? Because obviously you have a story that's so compelling. Could also be in a Lifetime movie based on some of the things that you were talking about. And
Hmm.
I know we didn't go into the nitty gritty, but that's not necessary. But I think there needs to be a book if you haven't already started writing a book.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Absolutely. For sure. So did you have a game plan in terms of what you were going to do? Because now you're in ministry. We are going to talk about that.
Hmm.
Because I want our listeners and viewers to know that, that you can go through some stuff, and everybody's stuff is different at different levels, but it's still stuff, it's still hurtful, and mental health challenges is real.
Yes, it is.
um uh uh Hiding behind that mask is real,
Hmm.
and more real than a lot of people, especially women, don't want to deal with, you
Hmm.
know. But you can now be able to be a witness to say, hey, look, I came from behind the mask. Did it hurt? Yes. Did it impact my family? Yes. But somehow you still have to keep moving forward so that you can be able to help somebody else. So did you have a game plan? And if not, how did you, what does the last 5 years look like for you?
Well, I didn't have a game plan when I got out.
Okay.
I knew I was going to be with my sister. And I went with her with just the clothes on my back. And that's what I came home to.
Mm.
And because gone, I lost everything. I lost my home, all my furniture, everything that I accumulated that time I lost. So I was literally starting over again.
Mm.
But one of the things that God taught me while I was in there is humility. You
Is
know,
what?
humility. Being
Humility.
Yes, He taught me humility.
Mm.
So I was patient with, you know, um, getting things back. Little by little. Um, Going to Walmart was anxiety for me. Then we got these cell phones out, and then during COVID, and it was a lot. It was a lot. But eventually, I couldn't really get a job there in Dublin, and so I said I'm gonna go to Augusta. I got a room. I rented a room from one of the ladies from my dad's church at the time. And I knew if I go to a warehouse, I was going to get a job. And so I get the job. I get 4 promotions on that job within 2 years. But while I'm there, I'm doing what I'm doing now. Like, there was ladies that was at the halfway house, and they needed assistance with resources. They needed, they may had a warrant on them, or I'm a detainer. And one of the things that I did while I was incarcerated is I learned the law a lot. I learned
Mm.
the law a lot. I took the paralegal course. I'm talking about, I helped a lot of people get out of the sentences early, or get warrants or detainers off of them. So I was skilled in that area. And so, still working at the I think it was Keebler at the time. I can't remember. Yeah, Keebler. And while I was there, I get a call from a lady who I did time with in Ellisville, Alabama, and she got a pardon through President Trump before I left. And Kim Kardashian and all of them helped her, and she wanted me to write my first, write my story in the USA Today. And once I did that, then God just began to start opening up doors for me, and the things that I'm doing, helping people who is incarcerated in reentry. I was on a 700 club telling my story. And
Yeah.
as a result of that, I landed a job working at Emmanuel Women's Facility in Swainsboro. So who get out of prison to work in a prison? Okay.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
so they feel like, people with
Now,
live.
what was it like? I'm curious. What was that experience like? Now, let me ask you this: was that wasn't a facility that you were ever at, was
No,
it?
ma'am. I
Okay.
think when I was somewhere, it was a men's prison at the time.
Oh, okay.
But I have went back to prisons that I was at to speak. God opened the door,
Okay.
so yes. But working at one, it was a little shock at first, because it was like a reminder of where I've
Yeah.
been,
Yeah.
hearing those doors slam, hearing
Yeah.
the officers yell,
Oh.
the loud noise. But then after that first day, it was a reminder of a place that I never want to go back to.
Mm.
So that helped me being in there, because it showed me you're not going back. You're not going back, because it brings tears to my eyes now, because I lived that life for so long, living out of a net bag, or living out of a little locker, having to spend $3 for a ramen noodle soup, it was those things that taught me. No, I was glad that I was going in that prison every day, because it showed me a place that I don't want to go back. Um, so what I was doing, I was mentoring ladies that was on mental health. I'm certified peer specialist in mental health. I'm a forensic peer mentor. Mental health is really big in the state of Georgia, with our returning citizens. And so they use us, they get us trained, get us certified, so we can go back into the communities,
Mm.
go back into the prisons, and be able to help people, because a lot of times they'll listen to people who've been there, done that already.
Yeah.
And so that's how I started the Compassionate Advocate was already birthed. But last year, I started getting my nonprofit, so I can really be able to be a blessing to people.
And
Um,
tell us the name of it again. The
Compassionate
Compassionate Advocate.
Advocate. Yes.
Ah.
And so God was just showing me my heart, and how, like I was saying, I was always wanting to help people. My mama told me from a little girl, you was always trying to help people. So now what I do is I just help them with their resources when they come out. If they need a food bank, if they need clothing, if they need help getting their driver's license, if they need a job, we're partnered with the Chamber of Commerce, so they'll be able to give certain people jobs. I'm going to churches, asking them if they can be a second chance church. will they take them in when they come home because they need that support. I'm a justice ambassador through Prison Fellowship. I have been to the White House twice talking to senators and legislators about my story and why we need certain laws changed and why second chances are important. And
Yes.
so that's what I do. And I just live it out every day, just trying to encourage people that if God can do it for me, he can do it for them too.
Mm. Wow. That is just so you're in terms of, okay, so for someone that's watching or listening, and maybe they didn't get in trouble with the law, but they still got in some type of trouble. They spiraled out of control and they're not who they are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell them? What would you tell them to encourage that person based on your experiences and what you've seen over the years?
I would definitely tell them to go seek some help. And it's harder to go to people who you know. So find somebody who you don't know. I would say go to the yellow pages, but we don't have it. But Google it. There's people who will help you. You could even find something called peer support. And those are people who been on drugs, have mental health conditions, has been in prison, whatever the situation may be, domestic violence situations, whatever it may be, and just talk to somebody, and that's what I should have did a long time ago, not letting, because I didn't want nobody to think I had a problem, because I can fix it. I was Miss Fixer, trying to be the savior. But definitely seek help. And you may not have a person who, you may never been incarcerated, but somebody who's been incarcerated,
Right.
and so you definitely, we definitely try to pray for the families that's of incarceration as well. Just try to help them as much as we can. But the main thing is seek help. And if you're a faith believer, definitely, 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 if you can't talk to your pastor, you don't need to be there. I'm just going to tell you that. If you don't
Yeah.
feel like you can be open and transparent with them, you don't need to be there. And if you feel like if you're a Christian and you still struggle, call me. Call me, because I know what it's like to really love God and still struggle.
Mm. And that when you said earlier, you learned humility, and that humility had a lot to do with
Oh,
your willingness to seek help. Those two
yeah.
go hand in hand.
Yes, ma'am, for sure. And I talk about, I am so open and I'm so honest and transparent with stuff, because I feel like that's the first step to healing, is admitting it.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging.
Peeling the mask. The
That's
mask is
it.
gone.
That's it.
Right.
And I've learned so much by me just being raw and transparent, that I get help that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever it may be, whether it's financial help, whether it's spiritual help, whether it's mental help, I get it because I talk about it. And God has people there for each and every one of us. Your struggle may not be my struggle, but we all struggle.
Right.
I know people who never did anything to get into jail, going to jail because they knew somebody. You know what I'm saying? Conspiracy is for real too.
Yeah.
So but yeah, definitely seek help. Definitely, 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 definitely get some help, because that's a hard road to go through while being incarcerated.
We're in the middle of Women's History Month, and the theme for Women's History Month is leading the change, women shaping a sustainable future. And when I think about everything that we've talked about so far, is that you are leading the change. The fact that you have been in the White House 2 times, and that you are talking from a legal a law, a change venue, not just talking on a podcast. I mean, you're talking to people who can make the
Yes, ma'am.
change based on your experience, and that is leading the change. And then the other part of it that comes to mind is when we talk about a sustainable future, if a person feels good, is mentally as sound as as mentally sound as one can be, because that sometimes can be a relative term if you think about it. That's the sustainable, or can be, and create that sustainable future. So you're dealing with women, I would imagine primarily women,
Mhm.
who have, let's just say, okay, let's do this. Because I just think that's such a neat parallel when we think about the theme of Women History Month. So you told us the name of your organization is the Compassionate Advocate,
Yes, ma'am.
but you also have used the term reentry and even on your email. And I believe, oh, by the way, folks, she has a podcast too. Okay. So tell us the name of that ministry piece.
It's called Jesus is the Key to Reentry.
Jesus is the key to reentry.
Yes, Jesus is the
Oh
key.
my goodness.
So if you want to have a successful reentry, you got to have Jesus. He's the key to it.
And that reentry doesn't necessarily mean someone who's been incarcerated and their reentry into the society. It could be reentry in any type of situation that
Yes.
they're coming from.
Yes, ma'am. You definitely, we all need a do-over. We all need to come back, and sometimes when whatever we've been through, there's times that we just, God has healed me. I don't got my safe place. Now I need to go back and start again, and that's April is, even though March is Women History Month, but April is Second Chance Month, because where
Oh,
would any of us be without a second chance, so that goes hand in hand to that reentry as well.
Second Chance Month.
Yes.
I didn't know that, but now I do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think of the term, and the name of my podcast is Reset to Reinvent, what comes to your mind based on everything that you've gone through, everything that we've talked about? What does that mean to you?
I would say reset to reinvent. A do-over for something new. I didn't go back. God had to do some things different in me. Whether it's through my spiritual, my education, my mental health. So I had to get a do-over. I had to reset. I had to stop and press the pause button and then hit it again. Okay. And to reinvent, because I'm not trying to fix something that's been broken. I'm trying to start something new in my life, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So God had to push that pause button on me.
Okay.
He had to push it. And then once he hit the button, he resetted me into the person that he wanted me to be, to the woman that he wanted me to be, to the woman that he created me to be. So I can go out here and be a change agent. So I can go out here and be able to help other people that are struggling. Maybe they haven't went through what I've been through, but they're just struggling. And they need somebody to help lead them and guide them along the way.
Oh my gosh. The Compassionate Advocate. So if a person wanted to get in contact with you, tell us about your social media handles, website, any of those things, so that someone can get in contact with you.
You can just go to our website. It's Jesus is the Key to Reentry. You'll have the ministry part, and you'll also have the Compassionate Advocate there. It'll tell you about the different resources that we provide. It'll tell you about the speaking engagements, whether it's in churches, prison, schools, whatever we're doing. You'll see our board of directors. You'll see some of the services that we provide for the people who's incarcerated and their family. That's Jesus is the Key to Reentry.com, and also on Facebook, the Compassionate Advocate. We're there. We're getting prepared for Second Chance Month. As we said, we're on the road to second chances. So, but definitely Jesus is the Key to Reentry.com is our website, and the Compassionate Advocate is our Facebook and Instagram page.
Tell us about your podcast and what made you decide to. I mean, it's a natural fit for sure, and with your experience in the events business and organizational skills, all of those excuse me, all of those tie in with the idea of having the podcast. So tell us about your podcast and how can people check you out there?
Well, it's Jesus is the Key to Reentry podcast. That's the name of the podcast. I actually had the podcast before I actually had the ministry and different things to that nature. So
Oh,
that's the podcast. The gentleman that he got out under the First Step Act as well. We was in the USA Today, telling our stories, and God put us together to start the podcast together. And he was talking about from a men's perspective. I'm talking about from the women's perspective.
mm.
And then we decided to go separate ways. I kept my podcast, because it's something God birthed in me. And basically what we do is we share stories of people who's been incarcerated and came out and doing great. Or God has given them a second chance to. We interview pastors that have second chance stories. I've had, gospel singers come on and share, those who support prison ministry and reentry ministry, people who have rehabs. I had Jared Williams, our district attorney, on there as well. So we just go around just letting people know that second chances are for everyone, and to encourage more of the society to get involved with our second chances, because when people come out of prison, they're coming right back to our neighborhood. They're coming right back to your towns and to your cities, to your church. And what are we to do as a believers? And that's what our podcast is about.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, tell us, give us a sneak peek. You said that you're planning and preparing for April Second Chance Month. Tell us a little bit about that to give us, so because I would imagine a lot of people are not aware of that.
But they haven't been
But
affected by
I'm glad
incarceration.
you shared it. But kind of give us a sneak peek on what you're planning for April.
Well, April, we got a lot. We're going to start in March, actually, because it's the road to second chances. But what we do is we go, because I am a justice ambassador through Prison Fellowship, which is the largest prison ministry. And what we do is we hold second chance services at churches, whether it's on Sundays or whatever day they open it up. We'll share testimonies. Some of us that have gone in, been out. We'll have a message geared around second chances. We'll have a vendor table set up for people who want to start a prison ministry at their church or organization. We also do a prayer walk for people who's incarcerated or families that are infected by incarceration, because you could be sitting in church beside someone and you don't know that they got a son or daughter or niece or nephew in prison, and they do the time too. They're doing time too. So we do a prayer walk. We get different businesses to come together and we just all walk and just sing and just, for that. We also do like Angel Tree, which is mainly done in Christmas time, but during the months, we just do something for the children that's infected by incarceration as well. We may go to the Capitol, we'll go to the courthouse and just pray for those that's incarcerated and the families that are affected by incarceration. So we
Wow.
got some things planned. We got a lot going on.
I
And
see. So, with your activities, I would imagine you're going to have information on your Facebook page and, of
yeah,
course, on your website that a
yeah,
person can be able to find out what's going on. And that's Jesus is the key to reentry.com.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Jesus is the key to reentry.com. Okay.
And watch, you're going to be seeing second chance now. When you never heard about it, and then now you're going to start seeing it.
Exactly, exactly. Because I'm a big advocate for second chances.
Amen.
You
Thank
know,
God.
I really am. I always have, and I've always been an advocate for the underdog. The person who everybody else is like. I'm like, no, 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 no. Give this person, even in sports.
Right.
Whoever the underdog is, that's the one that I want.
Right.
And I don't know where I got that from, but Melisha, let me just say this. I'm really happy that we've come full circle. I do look forward to being able to see you so I can just hug your neck. And I'm glad that you didn't, hold it against me. All of those years for reaching out, saying, hey, look, hon, just do this. I was from my heart looking out for you because I just didn't want anything worse to happen to you than was already happening. And and then of course, I really wrestled with, reaching out to your pastor, but I'm like, he's also a friend of mine. And I'm like, I have to do it, maybe she'll respond to him. And then ultimately you did. So I'm glad that we've come full circle with that.
Yeah, definitely no pun intended or anything in that nature. I look at it like, because it could have been worse. You know what I'm saying? It could have been worse. It could have knocked down the door or been in my house with my child was
Yeah.
there. So, God do say warning before destruction. So,
Yeah.
that was the warning. That was the help that I needed.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't go right then and there, but thank you for because some people know stuff and they won't even try to help you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They'll just let you go your way. Well, it ain't got nothing to do with me. But
Right.
to me, it shows a form of care and
Yeah.
concern. So thank
Yeah.
you for that. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely, and so much love, so much love. The compassionate advocate. Check her out on Facebook. Make sure that you like her Facebook page, and let's do this. Is there anything else that maybe we have not touched on? Anything else? Because we do promote our episodes quite a bit, and we also get the little magic clips so that we can put them out there. Is there anything that we haven't discussed or said that is on your heart that you want our listeners to know and experience and hear directly from you as we wrap up today's episode?
We covered a lot, but I definitely want to say, where would any of us be without the grace of God? Your second chance may not look like my second chance, but we all need second chances. And so I just encourage you, if you know someone who's struggling, if you know, because sometimes people know stuff and they still won't try to, even if they have the means to. But if you know someone who's struggling, let them know that your ear is there for them to talk to, or your hand is there. It's a scripture in the Bible that says, what you do for the least of them, you're doing it for Jesus. So just put yourself in that situation, and let's not try to be so judgmental and talk about this person and that, and let's try to be a help to them. Because as we are going into second chances, we all need it. We all need it. And you'll want somebody there for you.
Bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you so much for joining me today in celebration of Women's History Month, and I hope that you have just been inspired as much as I have. I mean, this is just. I really we can't talk anymore, or else I'm going to be crying. Okay, but I am just so super proud of you and where you. And I mean, I can imagine 5-10 years from now, she's probably going to be definitely at the White House, knocking down doors and laws to make things better for people, especially second chance type of situations and mental health situations, and making things better. She's always been a compassionate person. She's still a compassionate person. And so you got the compassionate advocate on Facebook. So thank you again, Melisha, for joining me today. And listen, you guys, make sure that this is an episode that I want you to download. I want you to like. I want you to share, because somebody out there needs to hear what Melisha has shared with us today. Somebody needs to be encouraged. Somebody needs to hear real talk. And that's one thing that anybody that knows me know. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. This is real talk. And that's what people need, is authenticity. And that is what has been helping Melisha along the way over these past 5 years. And the more she talks about it, the more freer she can be. And it doesn't matter what people say and what they think, because they're behind a mask dealing with some stuff too. Okay. And that's the whole purpose of being able to just be authentic, just be real. And is it hurtful? Yes. No doubt about it. But God's grace. And that's what she said. God's grace will get us through. So make sure that you like, subscribe, download this particular episode. Make sure that you subscribe to Reset to Reinvent podcast channel on YouTube. We really want you to do that. And listen, that's all I got, folks, for this week's episode. Celebrate Women's History Month. We've got more guests coming this month of March, and I'm just really excited. And so long, Melisha. Make sure that you hold on for a moment before we're going to wrap up, but hold on just for a moment. Okay, listen. Hey, you know why I want you to have a great week ahead of you is because you deserve to be inspired.
Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast is brought to you by the Adams Group Agency, developing final expense leaders.